They said a man doesn't cry. In the town of Alel, where red dust clung to your feet and pride clung even tighter to a man's name, tears were a private thing, something buried deep like secrets and regrets. So when Chindu's wife died, he didn't cry, not when they brought her body home wrapped in white cloth, not when women wailed and beat their chests, not even when they lowered her into the ground and covered her with earth. He just stood there, dry-eyed, still, like a man carved out of silence. People noticed. Of course they did. He didn't even cry, one woman whispered. Maybe he didn't love her, another replied, but they didn't know. They didn't know that grief had a way of locking itself inside some people like a door with no key. Her name was Ifananya, and she was everything Chindu was not. Where he was quiet, she was laughter. Where he was rigid, she was warmth. Where he held back, she gave freely. She filled spaces he didn't even know were empty. And now she was gone. It happened suddenly, too suddenly. One moment she was in the kitchen, humming softly as she cooked. The next, she collapsed. By the time they rushed her to the hospital, it was already over. No warning, no goodbye, just silence. That night after the burial, the house felt different, not empty. No, empty would have been easier. It felt wrong. Like something that used to breathe had stopped, but the body was still there. Chindu sat on the edge of their bed, her side untouched, her wrapper still hanging behind the door, her slippers still beneath the bed. Everything exactly as she left it, except her. He stared at the wall for hours, waiting for what he didn't know, maybe for her to walk in and say it was all a mistake, maybe for his chest to finally break open and let something out. But nothing came. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, still no tears. He returned to work, spoke when necessary, ate when reminded, lived because life refused to stop. But something inside him had gone quiet, too quiet. Their only son, Emeka, noticed. At just 8 years old, he understood more than people thought. That
Do you miss your wife? Then why don't you cry?
question hung in the air, heavy, unanswered, because the truth was he didn't know how. If Ananya had always been the emotional one. She cried during movies, cried when someone was hurt, cried even when she was happy, and she used to tease him. One day you'll cry, oh, and I'll be there to laugh at you. He would shake his head. Men don't cry. She would smile, our human first. Now she was gone, and he was still dry. Then something strange began to happen. Every night at exactly 1:30 a.m. Chindu would wake up, not suddenly, not violently, just awake. At first he thought it was grief. But then he started hearing things, soft sounds, movement. One night he heard it clearly, crying, a woman's cry, low, painful, familiar. His heart began to pound. Slowly he sat up, listened. It was coming from the sitting room. He stood, walked slowly, each step heavier than the last. When he reached the doorway, he froze. Someone was sitting on the floor, back facing him, shoulders shaking, crying. Ifananya, he whispered. The figure stopped, silence. Then slowly it turned, and it was her, exactly as he remembered. No wounds, no decay, just her, but her eyes were full of tears. Why didn't you cry for me? She asked. Chindu's throat tightened. I didn't know how. She stood up, walked closer. Her feet made no sound. You didn't cry when I died, she said softly. You didn't cry when they buried me, streamed down her face. Am I that easy to forget? No, he said quickly. Never. Then why? She whispered. Am I the only one still crying? Chindu stepped back, confused, terrified, broken. I miss you every day, he said, every second. She shook her head slowly. Missing is not the same as mourning. Her voice cracked. You locked your pain away and left me carrying it alone. Room grew colder. I can't rest, she said. Those words hit him like thunder. He repeated. Nodded. Your tears were meant to release me. You held them back. Her eyes met his. And now I am still here. Chindu woke up on the floor, morning light, sweat covering his body, a dream it had to be. But something felt different that day. He couldn't focus. Her words echoed in his mind. You locked your pain away. That night he waited, 1:30 am nothing. He almost relaxed. Then the crying returned, louder, closer. This time from their bedroom. He rushed in. And there she was again, sitting on the bed. Crying, I can't leave, she whispered. Something inside Chindu broke, not fully, but enough. Teach me, he said, voice shaking, how to let you go. She looked at him, and for the first time she smiled. Feel it, she said. Stop being strong. Next moment everything changed. Memories flooded him, her laughter, her voice, her touch, her last breath. And suddenly the wall inside him cracked, then shattered. And for the first time since her death, Chindu cried, not softly, not quietly. He broke, tears poured. Body shook. His voice trembled, years of silence released in one moment. And as he cried he felt something lift, light, and when he looked up she was standing before him. No tears this time, peaceful, Thank you, she said softly. He reached out, but his hand passed through her. I love you, he whispered. She smiled. I know. Then she was gone. Morning came. The house felt different, not empty, not wrong, just quiet, peaceful. Days later, Emeka asked again, Daddy, do you still miss Mummy? Chindu smiled. He said, Then why aren't you crying now? Chindu looked at him gently. Because I already did. He placed his hand on his son's shoulder. Sometimes tears are not just for the living. Years passed, life moved on. But every now and then on quiet nights Chindu would sit alone, not crying, just remembering, because he had learned something most men never do. Tears are not weakness, they are release. And sometimes they are the only bridge between the living and the ones we must finally let go.